I've always liked race cars, cowboys, the movies, sports, athletics, uniforms, insignia, album art, music, rock and roll, graphics. I think that's always been a part of my work, this kind of boyish thing. It was kind of the early themes of my work, drawing tanks and football players, and here you are 40 years later and you're still doing that. First and foremost, I'm a painter, and I look and have always looked back on painting, and it's a beautiful thing. It's kind of like you're in this vocation. There's a performative aspect to my work in the painting. It's actually in the painting process, but it's in the message, and there's a certain playfulness in the work. I have two bodies of work ongoing in my studio as we speak. One is for a show in Los Angeles upcoming, and also a show of new cowboy paintings for Martin Weinstein Gallery. This is the largest piece I've ever done, a watercolor. It's watercolor and ink on paper. The last 2 summers I've gone and photographed demolition derbies. I remember I shot this guy's truck 1 week last summer. I came back the next week and he'd literally, redone the first half of it, chopped it up. The truck had crashed. So there was this Frankenstein aspect to how they work on these vehicles. The idea of chopping the painting, having the cut there, is very much in reference to how the vehicles are cut, chopped, put back together from week to week. This was a painting within a painting. I usually lock down in a theme for a show, but this time I've allowed myself to just keep it open, and all my cast of characters have kind of come into play here, the cowboys, the trucks, the rock and roll, things like that. So that's been exciting for me. So this body of work is going to be shown at Martin Weinstein Gallery in Minneapolis. These all have the text and the legends, which it's probably a little more than half of my work I'm actually writing into the work. And the words come from notebooks and lists that I've compiled and keep an ongoing thing. They're lines of dialogue, they're lyrics from songs, they're snippets of conversation. It's a love of wordplay, it's a love of writing, always loving books and writing and dialogue and conversation and music. This looks like a lot of movie dialogue to me here. Song lyrics. A lot of time nothing comes of it, but I keep this going. This is ongoing. I'm constantly writing these things down in the notebook or something. After a while, it felt really natural to me. It was kind of coming to me, and it seemed very necessary, especially with the cowboy work. Equally as important as the drawing was the text, was the piece of writing. For this show in Los Angeles, I was very intentional about getting my cast of characters into play in a different way. So I wanted to get the cowboys in, and I've done that in 2 pieces that are quite different than my other works as well. There's a different kind of frame of reference. And it started as just an aesthetic experiment. If I could paint the bottle to my, to a satisfaction there. It came out really nice, the masking and the kind of the sense of fluidity in this figure kind of coming and going. Whiskey and cowboys, I mean, can't go wrong there. Source material comes from several different places. The cowboy stuff almost exclusively comes from freeze framing a DVD, taking a screenshot off the television. Maybe about half of the work now is generated from my own photographs. Also using the photocopier is a tool in that way. Printmaking was the focus of my final 2 years of art school and has been a very big part of my work. That's the sketching, the transferring. Now the second stage is applying the masking fluid and the tape. Yeah, you're not really seeing anything, but it's a rubber, basically a rubbery kind of fluid that dries on the paper and prevents pigment from going into the paper. Watercolor and ink have always been just real natural mediums for me, preferred mediums for me. There's There's not a lot of strategy or theory when I start something. It's a real kind of visceral reaction, and I just start it. And it can very well end up a dead end. There's a wonderful thing with watercolor and ink where it's such an exciting experience to paint. It has to do with the water, the reaction on the paper, and you're watching as the ink comes down into the valleys of the paper and it dries, and you shift it. So it's very exciting as a painter because you have control, you have your certain amount of tricks. I think that's the real enjoyment of watercolor and the distinctive nature of the medium as well. I've always felt like my work is not necessarily about me. It's about the subjects and the themes and the way that I'm painting them and the way that I'm presenting them. So I think it's kind of what I wanted all along, but it does seem to be happening where people have interpretations of the work on their own. They have a personal response to the work. That's very exciting, that's rewarding as an artist.
Minnesota Original is made possible by the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.